Hello folks, it's Dylan from Alter Universes here, bringing you another round of Modern. We have Josh Lindever on 4-color Yorion Blink Elemental Shenanigans versus Dan McCauley on Temur Living End, aka Knight of the Living End, because he wanted a fun nickname for his deck. Both of these decks are very strong contenders in the format. 4-color Money Pile, or Blank, or Elementals, as I'm sure you all know, is quite good with, like, what seems to be no damn weaknesses, besides maybe drawing poorly. And then Living End just does well. The Cascade decks, especially Living End and Crashing Footfalls, as well as the Glimpse of Tomorrow deck. But we'll talk about that one later. All really good. Turns out, 3 mana, just doing a bunch of things. It's just solid. You have a good interactive deck. Like, the Crashing Footfalls is just like interaction deck, and then they're like, alright, here's some rhinos. Living End is just, you cycle big dirtily things, draw some cards, and then you slam a Cascade spell on the stack, and then you put a bunch of power on the board. So we got some pretty simple turn ones. We got Josh leading on a Snow-Covered Forest into what is effectively Arkham's Astrolabe. I refuse to believe that card is not the same thing. And then Dan's just going to have some lands and cycle. Interestingly, not putting the Steam Vents in active on turn 2. I feel like your life total doesn't matter as much, especially in this matchup, and you just want to be able to resolve as big of a Living End as possible, so you want to just, like, cycle something, hope to draw another cycler, and then, you know, spin that into the yard. But, yeah, this was, I believe, our round 3, if I remember correctly. Josh is going to play a Rogren Triumph tapped. There is a Curator of Mysteries. Yeah. I think. We're going to draw a card. There's a Misty Rainforest here, just passing the turn. Now this matchup is interesting. I don't actually know which deck is favored against the other. I imagine it's Blink, because I don't know many matchups that deck is just not good in. The Elemental deck, the 4-color deck just does so much. It does so much. And if you haven't seen the new version of the deck, they play the Vivian Pod combo now. I don't think Josh is on that version, but dear God, the deck is now just a combo deck. Here comes the Risen Reef, which is just an absurd card on its own. If you don't know what Reef does, when it or another elemental enters the battlefield, you may look at the top card of your deck. If it's a land, you can put it into play, otherwise draw it. There are some gross Risen Reef interactions in this deck. And you're going to get to see some, I think, in this game. It might be the next game. I don't remember. I just know that Reef does some, like, wild stuff. Dan's going to cycle a Street Wraith here, draw a card, and is going to fetch that Misty Rainforest. Could we see a Violent Outburst? Here we are. Here's the Cascade trigger. We're going to reveal cards from the top of his deck until he gets a card that he can cast. Surprise, there's only one card with CMC lower than 3, and that is Living End. So, Josh's Risen Reef will die. Dan will get a Curator of Mysteries, a Strike River Winder, and a Street Wraith, all on the board. How much damage is that? 6, 9, not lethal, but it's close. It's going to do 12 damage to him. Could have put him to 5 if he outbursted. Yeah, it's not enough. Now the thing is that the Yorion deck can come back from this. Ephemerate plus Solitude, or as you can see in Josh's hand right now, multiple copies of Fury. Deals with everything except for Striped River Winder, basically. Hello? All right. All right, we're going to cast Fury here by pitching an Omnath. Going to do 4 damage, most likely to that Curator of Mysteries. Right, Dan is going to cycle an Architect's Will here, getting that Curator of Mysteries trigger to scry 1 whenever he cycles a card. I'll tell you, folks, the Blink deck is the deck that I'm like the most conflicted about in this format. Because every time I watch it, I'm like, oh, you know, this deck is like really cool and kind of fun to play. Then whenever I go to play it, it's just 80 cards. And I don't want to shuffle 80 cards. If you've ever seen me play Magic, which, if you're one of our regular Modern players, I don't play Magic. But if you ever see me play Magic, I make jokes about not wanting to shuffle all the time with 60 card decks. And yeah, just shuffling 80 cards. A lot. Not my thing. There's a lot of fetch lands in that deck. There's a lot of shuffle effects in that deck. But man, is it so good. It's just such a good deck. Speaking of shuffling, Josh is going to fetch here with a Flooded Strand, going down to 7. Potentially going lower than 7. Also, the other good part... Alright, cool. Just getting a Snowcovered Plains here. The other good part about the Blink deck in the Living End is because of all the free cast elementals is you can load your graveyard up yourself and have the Living End actually just help you out. So 4 mana here. Looks like he's going to play an Omnath. Going to draw a card. Picks up another land. So if the Omnath gets to survive, Josh will be able to draw some cards. Alright, there's another Fury here. Pitching Unholy Heat. Going to shoot down that Street Wraith. Untaps, got a Striped River Wonder. That card has Hexproof. Very good card. I mean, 7 mana, but very good card. There's a Colossal Sky Turtle in Dan's hand. He's 1 mana off of being able to do like the really cool player. Is Sky Turtle 2 mana or 3 mana to do the bounce effect? Colossal Sky. No, come on. Did I spell Colossal wrong? I did. Yeah, 1 in a blue, return target creature to owner's hand. I was like, if he had 5 mana this turn, he could go bounce the Omnath, attack with the Riverwinder, and then play Violent Outburst to give the Riverwinder exact lethal. But, alas, did Dan not attack with the Riverwinder? I got distracted by looking up the Turtle's effect. Alright, so Josh played a land. He's going to gain 4 life with the 11. This passes a turn. Dan's going to cast a Violent Outburster. Going to get the Cascade trigger. Remember, folks, if you haven't played against Cascade before, do not counter the spell with Cascade on it. Counter the thing they Cascade into. It is something I've seen a good bit. I had someone I was playing Rhinos, and I had someone counter my Shardless Agent, and I was like, okay. They're like, yeah, it stops the cat. I was like, no, don't do it. Josh here is looking at the graveyard. It seems. Debating if he wants this Living End to resolve. Does he have a counterspell in hand? Is he still on counterspell? The weird part of having the Blink deck on camera is there are, I don't know, like 7 versions of the deck now. And because it's 80 cards, the configuration is like, okay, well, are you on the spell-heavy version? Are you on the creature-heavy version? Are you on elementals? Or are you on blink? Are you on pod? There's a lot going on. I think now blink and elementals are like, if you look on Goldfish, I think they're separated now. That's just two different decks, but like 85% of the cards are the same. Do they play Ragavan? Do they play Fable of the Mirror Breaker? It's just Yorion soup, baby, and there's just slightly different spices in it. Alright, so we are resolving Living End. A bunch of creatures have entered Dan's board. Josh is going to get 3 triggers with Risen Reef, meaning he at minimum draws 3 cards. He also gets to do 8 damage to whatever he wants, except for Strike Rewinder. Looks like we killed the Street Wraith of the Curator of Mysteries. Picked up the Prismatic Enemy. Does he have a Solitude in hand? That would be... He does have a Solitude in hand. He also has another Fury. Good God. Is Living End play a Besieger? Here comes Solitude. If you remember, Josh had floating mana because of the Omnath, second ability when he fetched in response to the Living End. Solitude's going to exile that Architect's Will. Architect of Will? Does have another Solitude in hand. Also got a Risen Reef trigger too. Alright, Dan is resolving his trigger here to look at the top 3 cards of Josh's deck, and then I think he just arranges them in any order. Could also mill them. It really just depends. I think he just looks at the top 3. Can't remember. Alright, shuffles the Cascade pile to the bottom of the deck. This is like the wild part. Dan did his combo, and Josh just ended up with more things on the board. And also just drew cards. Risen Reef is fucked. It's just so strong. Does it die to Lava Dart? Yes. But alright, I'm going to cycle a Curator of Mysteries, draw a card. Ooh. Cycle draw, cycle draw. If you like drawing cards, this is the deck for you. I can't think of any other deck in the format that takes more draw game actions than this one. I don't think there's any more. Or a deck that draws any more. Alright, Josh is going to untap here. I will say the funny part is that, like, every time these Furies come out, it just loads Dan's graveyard back up again. So if Dan has another Violent Outburst, he can just put a bunch of dudes back on the board. Alright, tax in for 6. This is 12 total damage if Dan just takes it. Puts the Striped Riverwinder in front of one of them, and the Architect's Will in front of the other. Both creatures will die. Got a little bit of a frame delay there. That was fun. That or it's just my computer lagging, both of which are possible. Josh is going to play a fetch land as his land return. Buys Yorion to hand. And passes a turn. Now the gross part is if Dan does actually cast Living End here, Josh he'll get his Omnath back and he'll be able to fetch twice and get both of the effects. Deliberate. We will find this card. There it is. I don't remember. I wonder if he's on the list that plays 4 Living End or 3. I know for a while there was only 3 Living End in most of the lists. I just don't remember. Alright, Living End. Bunch of creatures come out. Josh is just going to resolve his Omnath trigger. Or declare his triggers. But it's a massive Living End pile. That's so much power on the board. He's going to shoot down a Curator. Going to draw a card. I think Josh is having Dan resolve his trigger first. I'm not terribly sure. Okay. Draw said Fairy Time Reveille. What little card that really would have mattered? I see a Prismatic Ending. Alright, Josh fetches. Goes to 9. We'll go to 13. Because of Omnath ability. Hey, Magus to the Moon. I still hate the fact that this deck plays Magus to the Moon. Arkham's Astrolabe, baby. That card is Arkham's Astrolabe. I wonder if you could honestly take this deck and just convert it to Legacy. It's dumb, but there's a small part of me that wants to try it. You get Green Sun Zenith. I don't even know if you play that. But you could. Huh, Arcblade Phoenix. That's cute. Haven't seen that in Legacy in a little while. Oh shit, someone actually has been playing 4-color control. Oh no. Alright, there's no Omnath, it's okay. Alright, it's just like plain Jane 4-color control. 4-color Yorion. Let's see. Legacy at home. Endurance, Omnath, Timeless Dragon. Alright, I'm out. I'm not here for this anymore. I thought that was a Dazen doing in Dan's hand, and I got so concerned for a second. I'm not gonna lie to you. Not gonna lie. I was just gonna be like, why are we playing this? No. Alright, pitches or activates a Waker Waves ability. I don't think it's a cycle ability. I think it's actually just like a activated ability where you discard it. Alright, cycling again. Does Grief say target opponent? Can you target yourself? Is it just straight up unmask? Alright, going to channel the Colossal Sky Turtle, bounce the Omnath back to hand. We're gonna go to combat. The life totals have just been like all fluctuating like crazy, and I don't know if I love it or I hate it. It's just, good God. All right, Josh is working out his blocks right here. All right, Josh is at 10. Let's see if he can come back from this. Three, 4. Here comes Omnath. Gets to draw a card. I imagine he has a landed hand. He hasn't drawn a Red Insects yet, which I find funny. See, he has seen a crap ton of his deck so far. Fetches goes to 13. He's got to gain life because of Omnath. Or no, I already gained life. I already played the land. Huzzah. Because he gets a breeding pool. Going to trigger the Omnath ability. Gonna make 4 mana. Cast Fury, kills a Street Wraith. Dan's down to 2 cards in his hand. Alright. Dan's just going to scoop it up. Josh is going to take game 1 here. And we will be right back with game 2, folks. And we're here with game 2. Dan's on a breeding pool first. Shocking to 18. Isn't that a really cool breeding pool? I think it's the OG one. Or Gate Crash? Something like that. It's either the original one or it's the second printing. This one is the third, and I'm an idiot. Alright, Josh is going to play a Flooded Strand and cast a Chalice of the Void on 1, or on 0 here. On turn 1. Which is a problematic card for Dan to deal with. I'm going to cycle an Architect's Will. It's just one of those things, so like, You need your 0 mana spell to resolve to even play the gosh darn game. Besides just hard casting big things, which you can do, it's like hard casting Stinkweed in Dredge. It's not where you want to be, but you can do it. Or hard casting Prized Amalgams. We've all been there. Dan should have interaction for Chalice in his deck, Brazen Borrower, Besiju, which is what I was wondering earlier, if they play Besiju. I feel like you have to, at least one. I feel like it's just quote-unquote free. Josh's hand looks pretty solid right now. He has a Teferi Time Raveler in his hand, which is like the double anti-Cascade card. Or Cascade deck card, but fetches a Catch Rate Triumph. Ooh. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. Alright, plays a tap Steam Events per turn, just passes. I imagine Dan's going to cycle a couple cards. There's a Street Wraith. This is ideally the turn that you want to Brazen Bar over here. That way you can just like slam. Could also Otawara the Chalice of the Void too. I think that's the other interaction with it. So that one's better to use on Time Raveler. Yeah. I mean, you can petty theft any of them, but Street Wraith Cyclone again, doing the damage for Josh. Alright, let's see what we got here. Unfortunately, this is one of those situations where I think if I'm in Dan's spot, I don't know if I continue playing the game. Because there's like a whole debate in the shop about conceding early. This is the Blink deck is one of those things that, like, if you let them keep going, like, the farther and farther in the game, they've won, right? Like, they haven't killed you, but they've won the game. Like, they're not losing. Very rarely do they make it to late game and lose, right? So you have to assume as the living end player here that if your whole idea is that you have to find a way to out the Chalice of the Void, and you're working towards that goal, eventually the Yorion deck is just going to start mounting pressure and start mounting a board, right? Like, it's just a hard deck to combat. Especially, like, if you're on the back foot. I know I've talked about it a lot, about, like, playing against this deck and just people who go to time all the time and they'll complain that, like, the deck goes to time. It doesn't kill people quick enough. I think it is partially the fault of the people playing against the deck who don't concede at the points in which they really have lost the game, but it's weird coming from other card games where people will concede to save time, where it seems in Magic people will there's an endurance coming out here. It's going to shuffle the yard away for Dan, or shuffle Dan's yard away from him. So like in Yu-Gi-Oh, people will concede when they can't like break a board in order to save time. Now that's also because Yu-Gi-Oh's time rules suck. And then Super, same, like the Dragon Ball card game, same thing. Like people will concede early games in order to try and get it on the back too. Magic players, I don't see that happen too often. We had a match happen this week where they were in time, and realistically, the one player was supposed to win the match, but because they went to time, the player just like got shafted. But it's just weird. Like, if you know you're going to time, concede early, save that time. That way you can win the next game. Especially if you're going to be on the play. Like, you'll be on the play. Every deck is better on the play. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk that has no prepared points to it. Josh's going to buy Yorion, pass the turn. I think Dan is making a joke here that he was like, Yorion is 0 mana, right? You can get countered by the Chalice. Alright. Tap Steam Vents. Pass the turn. Josh is going to fetch here. Probably getting his other Triome. Tri-land. Because they're not all called Triomes anymore. I do wish they all, like, shared a subtype for the Capenna ones. Because it's like Jetmir's Garden, Spar's Headquarters, Xander's Lounge. I don't know how you could have changed it so it's like all unanimous, but you also could have just done like Maestro Triome or Maestro's Triome, Cabaretti Triome. I don't think anybody would have been upset with that. Endurance attacks, endurance blocks. Bing bang boom. It's a violent outburst, making it so his endurance will be lethal. Will be able to kill the other one. I'm here for that. All right, we're gonna go through that cascade pile. Josh is just gonna poke at the Chalice the entire time. No, okay. He wants Dan to know this card isn't resolving. He's gonna choose to not cast the card revealed. Josh is going to unholy heat the Endurance. He's going to cast a Time Raveler. He's going to minus and draw a card. If he wanted to be an animal, an absolute animal, you bounce the Chalice and then replay the Chalice, because Dan can't do anything. Teferi's on the board. He can't respond to it, so... That's the slight disrespect. Just took a break, had lunch, now I have the hiccups. Oh no. Has Josh found a way to kill Dan? No. He's got a Solitude. He could just flash the Solitude the next turn and then just start attacking. There's a Shardless Agent. Gotta go through the process of cascading. Not that it matters, can't cast a card anyways, but... We are working on it. Good God. Alright, Fairy Uptick. Going to play a Scalding Tarn as land for turn. Has an Odometer's Call. Can go find Omnath or Fury, whichever thing he wants to start working on killing Dan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. He could just, like, call for Omnath, play Omnath now. He could also just call for Fury. Kill the Shardless Agent with that, and then, yeah, heat the Shardless Agent. Just gonna pass the turn. Dan's going to cast another Shardless Agent during his turn. Found a Living End. Doesn't cast the Living End. Josh is going to Eldamri's Call. Yeah, I feel like you just go get Fury. Don't get me wrong, Omnath is good, but I think you want Fury here, just to try and, like, finish the game. I mean, it's a 2-turn clock. Did he set the Furies out? I didn't see any. Alright, Teferi uptick. Cast Omnath. Doesn't have a land to play, but might not be necessary. Yeah. Dan's gonna cycle Street Wraith here. Dan's gonna play a Botanical Sanctum as a land for turn, and just passes. Does Josh have another Unholy Heat in his hand? Do I remember that correctly? No, he used a second one. That's how he killed the Shardless Agent. Oh boy. Alright, Eldamri's Call number 2. Goes and gets Risen Reef this time. Phenomenal card. Absolutely the bee's knees. Draws for turn. Picked up what looked like an Endurance. I'm going to go to 4. Attack with the Omnath. Omnath is going to get blocked by Shardless Agent. Risen Reef's going to come down. We're going to get a Risen Reef trigger. Josh looked at that card of his deck. Has Endurance, Yorion, Time Raveler, Relic of Progenitus, and a 5th card in his hand. That's a Solitude, yeah. Just passes a turn, leaves 4 mana open. Dan plays a land for turn. We are at the ability to hardcast Striped Riverwinder. Alright. flash in an endurance. And Josh is just going to take game 2 there. 2-0 with 4-color Yorion Blink over Living End. Thank you for watching, folks, and have a great rest of your day.